Hi, I'm Paige Pradko. Welcome to Therapy for a Better Life. Today I'm answering questions from my viewers. The topic will be on OCD, Pure O, exposures, anxiety. I think you can relate, many people can relate to a lot of the questions in these videos, and I hope that you learn something. If you like these videos, please let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. All of that helps me share mental health information. So our first question is from Maggie. Maggie says, I always get excited when I see your new videos. Thanks, Maggie. Thank you so much. This was really helpful since I deal with depressive thoughts every day. If I say positive affirmations right after an OCD thought, is that empowering the thought to stay? Or should I let it be until my anxiety drops? This is a great question, and this is a question I get asked quite a bit. Unfortunately, positive affirmations can become another compulsion. And what you're trying to do there is to calm yourself down to get you through that exposure. Anything that we do to try to calm ourselves down in an exposure, we're trying to purposefully calm ourselves down, is going to hurt the exposure and make it a weaker exposure. Because these exposures take your time and your effort, we want them to be the best exposures possible. And so I'm going to recommend that you do not say a positive affirmation. And I think a lot of people, kind of do it in their head anyway. You want to be aware that you're doing that and to not do that. Just don't do anything, don't say anything, just go through the exposure without compulsing. And think of positive affirmations as just one more compulsion that will reinforce that OCD if you were to continue that. But thank you for asking such a good question, Maggie. This next question is from Meadow. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have found your channel. I have had Pure O on and off for most of my life. I have struggled with latest thoughts for past 2 years. I find your I am acronym so useful. I'll put a link to the video where I describe my I am technique, just so that you know what she's talking about. I still look for reassurance constantly and desperately want to believe I am not my thoughts. I guess that is common with the illness, but have you any comments around that? Another really great question. Seeking reassurance is a very common compulsion with obsessive thoughts, Pure O, and many OCD themes. You really want to be aware when you're asking for reassurance, because this is just reinforcing it. It is continuing that cycle of OCD. And if you're a family member of someone with OCD, you want to make sure that you're not giving reassurance. You can just say, hey, when I hold up my hand, that means I'm not giving reassurance. And, people will begin to understand that reassurance seeking is a compulsion. When you stop it, you'll notice a big change. You'll notice your OCD getting better. And so, great question, Meadow, and I think this question will be able to help a lot of people. The next question is from John. Hi, Paige. Thank you so much for all of the excellent content. I have been binge watching to try and gain information to assist my son, who has severe OCD. Question on number 4. He was on my exposure. He's talking about my exposure video. And this is where I'll leave a link for the 10 ways to maximize exposure. Question on number 4, on not using CBT until ERP is completed. Now, I'm going to finish first. Do you mean not using it in the middle of an exposure session or until a person has completed ERP therapy overall? I hope this isn't a stupid question. I just want to get this right, since between ourselves and therapists not well versed in OCD, we've made a lot of mistakes. Okay, there's a lot to this question. Now, first of all, there are no stupid questions, so please ask me any questions that you have about these topics. Just to clarify, exposure therapy and ERP is actually in the field of CBT. But when I'm talking about not using CBT with exposures or with ERP in this particular video, what I'm referring to is cognitive restructuring. I know I'm using some big words. Cognitive restructuring means you're trying to change your thoughts. You're trying to prove your thoughts are false or that you don't have evidence for your thoughts. That is a CBT, another CBT technique. And what we have found through Michelle Krask's research is that using cognitive restructuring, trying to argue against your thoughts, actually makes the exposures less effective. So we do not want to do that. Now, I've made some past videos that I wish I could take that out of, like my video on Peer O, and I talk about different techniques of treating Peer O. Sure enough, I include cognitive restructuring. That was before I knew about Michelle Krask's research. And I have since then changed the way that I treat people, and I don't include any changing of the thoughts or thought stopping or anything like that. I'm not trying to in any way teach them to stop their anxiety. I want that ERP to be effective for them. I want to let the brain do what it does in exposure, and that's create new neural pathways. The brain has to be surprised during exposures. It works best when your brain thinks, oh, maybe I'll panic, maybe this will be terrible, maybe I won't do it. And then you actually do it, and you don't panic, and you do really well. The brain has to be surprised. That is what we have discovered makes the best ERP and best exposures. So I no longer do much of that cognitive restructuring. And you'll find this in therapy is that we learn more as we go. And so most therapists, as we go, we're learning new research, we're modifying our methods. And, I think we all keep learning, right? And so thank you for such a good question, John. I hope that I answered your question. Tina just asked me, hey, do you do televisits for people in other states? Please let me know. Thank you. Yes, I do. I do teletherapy work with people in other states. I do it as a consultant, and you can contact me on my website, paigepradko.com, and send me a message if you're interested. Most OCD therapists are very booked up, and we have waiting lists, and it's just because there aren't a whole lot of us. But I'll do my best to help. And my last question for today is from Jan. Thank you, Paige. This really helps. Do you have any books you recommend on intrusive thoughts? Greetings from the Netherlands. By the way, I love hearing where you're from. When you leave a question, try to let me know where you're from, because it's kind of exciting to talk to people all over. I'm gonna show you a bunch of books today. Now I'll hold them up, but they might end up showing up backwards, right? So one of the leaders in our field, an expert in our field, Jonathan Grayson, he has an updated edition, and this is Freedom from Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, and this is excellent. It's quite thick, but I still use it. It's a great resource. Two of my favorite authors, Sally Winston and Martin Seif, Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts. Excellent book. Everything they write is excellent. This one was written by a person that has OCD Pure O, Shannon Shai, and it was his first book. I think he has another one out, but it's called I'll Be Okay. I think we can always learn by people that actually have the disorder. This is also a second edition that came out by John Hirschfield. I've listened to John Hirschfield talk about a number of different topics. He has such a calm, kind way about him. I really like what he teaches, but I take some ideas from his book, and it's called the Mindfulness Workbook for OCD. What I love about this second edition is that he uses inhibitory learning theory, which is the brand new research, But what I don't like about it is that he does use still cognitive restructuring. So, but there's pros and cons to every book. I still bought it. I still really like to read what John writes. Now, this is a new book that I just got. It just came out by Kristen Springer and David Tolan, and it's called The Big Book of Exposures. And I don't know if you can see that. But the Big Book of Exposures just gives us ideas. With every client that I work with, they have their own unique situation, and we always need some creative ways of, kind of coming up with exposure ideas. So sometimes that book can be helpful. But I hope that you enjoyed the question and answer segment. Please leave me comments and questions. You never know. Again, I might pick yours, and I hope that you liked the video. So until next time, I will see you in session. Take care. Bye-bye.